So Wildcard just announced the second creature that would be in TLC 3, and it is the Stego. The Stego is getting a TLC. Really surprised about that one. Did not see that one coming. I'm not mad, but I'm just surprised. I kind of was hoping for the Megalodon myself, and I know a lot of people wanted the Bronto, but the Stego's been in the game just as long as those two creatures, so I guess it deserves it. This is honestly a creature that I overlook quite a lot myself. I don't really play PvP, so I know obviously these things are great in PvP because you can block the bullets with the plates, but I don't really find myself taming these at all in PvE. I usually would go for a trike if anything. But yeah, so we're going to go over all the new information about the Stego TLC, which is pretty cool because obviously you can tell it looks a little different, not insanely different, but it's definitely a bump in quality right there. And we're also going to be going over some information about the Mammoth TLC because we have a bunch of abilities revealed for it. So guys, go ahead and hit the like button if you find yourself enjoying this one. It's going to be a short video, so yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, let's just take a look at this thing visually. There is a major step up in quality. Obviously, the Stego just in general looks a little bit thicker now, which is obviously a little bit more accurate. And to be honest, it actually just looks like a giant rideable Kentro, which is not a bad thing. I really don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think the Kentro looks fantastic, so definitely making it a little bit similar to the Kentro is nice. But you can see like the plates and everything. I don't really know if there's any additional ones. I don't really want to count all of them. But they kind of look like they're roughly in like the same area and everything like that. In terms of the face though, you can tell it's giant bump in quality. I mean, look at the hell, like what the hell were they thinking with this thing? This thing looks amazing. It honestly just looks like a Kentro, but it also looks amazing at the same time. The creature in general is a little bit thicker. It's got more weight to it. It's kind of a little bit scrawny here in the legs and everything. I know I say that, but like it doesn't really look like that in game. It just kind of looks like that right there compared to this. Anyway, you can also note that the plates have different patterns to them, and that will play into its passive ability, which is really interesting. So this one right here, we've got just a bunch of vertical lines. We've got one solid vertical line right here, and then over here we've got like a weird looking pattern, almost kind of like a butterfly or something. Now let's get into its abilities. It's got 3 new passive modes that you can switch between. Whether or not you'd have to hop off and do that, I don't know. Hopefully there's a button that you can do when you're mounted on the creature. But we've got the hardened plate mode, which essentially adds a damage reduction buff and prevents the rider from being dismounted by enemies, and then obviously buffs wood harvesting, which is pretty cool actually. Now obviously, you know, like being able to like reduce damage a little bit more is great, obviously, if you're trying to block out a bunch of bullets and everything like that and drain people's turret towers. But I'm really excited about this prevent riders from being dismounted thing, because that's going to make them a little bit nicer to run around on, say in like the swamp or something like that, so you don't get like grabbed off by capros. And I mean, a Stego wouldn't be able to chase a capro with you in its mouth, so yeah, that's not going to happen. I like that. Next up, we have the heavy plate mode, which this is kind of a strange sentence. Applies a slow when attacking with the basic tail whip. I think that maybe adds like a slow debuff or something to players or creatures. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it's obviously going to be better for harvesting thatch. And then we have the very last one, the sharpened plate mode, which applies a armor penetration effect. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Like obviously that's only when you're using the tail whip attack. And that's going to be great for gathering berries. So I kind of like this, you know, the different like modes, I guess, to harvest the different resources and everything. Sorry, I'm really drawing a blank here. It's so late. Anyway, so next up we have the fact that it can now impale small creatures and players on the tail, just like a Kentro can. I mean, it's kind of terrifying when a Kentro does it, so it's going to be just as terrifying when a Stego does it. But yeah, these things are not going to be messed with too easily now that they can pick you up on their tail just like that. So I'm pretty excited for it. It's not a huge amount of new things for the Stego, but I think there are definitely things that it deserves. I mean, I don't know what else you could really do with the Stego, to be honest. I was thinking a couple years ago something along the lines of being able to kind of choose which berry you want to harvest more of or something would be cool for the Stego. I know there was a mod that did that. I can't remember what one it was, but yeah, just something like that would have been nice. But you know what? It all sounds great, and I'm still unsure which one of these plates stands for which, but maybe that's the hardened plate. So next up, we're going to go over the Mammoth TLC, and right here you can see, like I pointed out in the last episode, war drum saddle. Yeah, it's gonna essentially allow a passenger to bang on some war drums when you're marching into battle, and that's going to give a AoE buff that improves stamina regen and makes all your creatures immune to fear roars, which sounds really great, but at the same time, I don't think that's gonna be insanely useful for boss battles or something like that. It's gonna be useful for like PvP skirmishes, like definitely for sure, but I kind of figure that maybe this would add some sort of buff that would be great for like when you're fighting bosses. I don't know. I just kind of figured that was maybe the direction that they were going in, but I guess not. I don't know how useful this is going to be because obviously creatures that are not being mounted on don't need stamina regen, so I don't know. It's probably going to be pretty good either way. So it's also got a bunch of new attacks, which I'm really excited about. So the first of which, it's going to be able to swing the trunk from left to right. This is probably it in action right here, and that's going to gather thatch efficiently. It's also going to have a trunk trumpet attack, which, or I guess I don't know if that would really be an attack at all. So it's essentially gonna emit like a very loud roar, and then it's gonna add an AoE debuff onto all enemies within the range. We don't know what that does just yet, but I guess we'll figure it out eventually. And then also it's gonna have a foot stomp attack. It's doing it right here, you can see. I'm pretty sure it could already do that in the game right now, but obviously it's going to be great because it's going to actually have a pretty incredible knockback to it and gather wood efficiently. And then finally, we have a trunk grab attack, which sounds great. This is something that I've wanted for the Mammoth for such a long time. And that's essentially going to be similar to a Karkanos's grab. You're going to be able to grab, hold, and release small targets. I don't know if that means that you can throw them. I would imagine that that probably means you can throw them, though. I hope so. Maybe this is what's happening right here, because it almost looks as if this guy's being bucked off the back, but maybe he's being thrown back. I'm not exactly sure. I hope that you can do it, actually, because if you had like annoying creatures in front of you, you could just like pick them up and throw them behind you. That sounds fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, that is all of the information that we have on TLC 3, the Stego, the Mammoth, and all of their abilities. Obviously, there's a bunch of new things coming in that update as well. We've already seen evidence on Twitter of potential like mantis breeding, because there was like a mantis baby growing up. It was like a GIF a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I don't know. We might be getting like a bunch of extra new things, but it's just for now, this is all they're going to be doing to 2 creatures. Maybe we'll get another TLC at some point. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe if you guys want to see some cool ARK videos. We're totally going to be checking these things out in the cluster for sure. Maybe I'll even tame some up beforehand so we can do like a comparison and stuff like that. That would actually be great. So yeah, that is it, and I'll catch you in the next one.